This is a story of a young man trapped in an old guest house. It began like most of Tony's adventures, with nothing but his camera, his stubborn curiosity, and the itch to find places where no one dared to go. His channel was growing fast, built on mysteries and forgotten myths. The more terrifying, the better. So when he heard the whispers about a rundown guest house in a remote Delta village where people vanished without a trace, he drove straight there. The village of Umuk sat hidden between two overgrown hills, shrouded in mist and silence. Nothing about it welcomed strangers. The trees looked like they were leaning in, listening. The air was thick and strangely cold, even though the sun was still out. He stopped near a wooden kiosk where a woman was roasting fish over open flames. Her milky eyes drifted toward him. "You be traveler?" she asked, squinting. "Don't go there. Mama F house. People enter room 13, them know they come out." Tony gave a short laugh. "That's the one I'm looking for." She said nothing more, just crossed herself 3 times and turned away. Mama F's guest house sat alone at the end of a red clay path, its walls weathered like old skin. The building slouched as though it was tired of standing. Still, the sign out front read boldly, "F's Rest Inn, EST 1971. Inside, it was far too quiet. There was no reception bell, no hum of electricity, just the ticking of an unseen clock and the creak of age in the floorboards. Mama F emerged from the back room, her wrapper tied tightly, her face dry and still like carved wood. Her head wrap was too tall, her smile too wide. And her eyes were the only part of her that moved quickly, watching every twitch of Tony's body. "You came alone?" she asked softly. "Yes." She seemed to sigh, though it made no sound. "Only room 13 left. But it's not good for sleep." Tony raised an eyebrow. "Why?" "You see yourself. And not like you know you." He chuckled, trying to shake off the cold that suddenly crept into his bones. "Sounds perfect." She handed him a rusted brass key. Her hand lingered a moment too long. "Don't touch the mirror. Don't speak to it." The hallway was long and dark. The walls pressed close. Room 13 was at the very end, its door warped and chipped, like something had clawed at it over the years. Inside, the room was cold. Not air-conditioned cold, funeral cold. The bed was made. The air smelled faintly of iron and dried cassava. But what truly dominated the room was the mirror. It stretched from floor to ceiling on the opposite wall. No frame. No border. The glass shimmered slightly, like water caught in wind. And it felt alive. Tony set up his gear. Started recording a vlog. Told his audience about the ghost stories, the missing guests, the number 13. But he couldn't finish the video. His voice began to sound strange in playback, slower, almost demonic. And when he played the footage again, he noticed something terrifying. In the reflection, he was still sitting. Even though he'd already stood. The camera shook in his hands. He looked back at the mirror. His reflection now smiled, mouth stretching too wide, too long, as if it was ripping from ear to ear. He blinked. The reflection didn't. He backed away. Tried the door. Locked. His phone was dead. The window showed only darkness, even though it was barely 7 p.m. Then the mirror began to ripple. Softly, almost gently, a second version of him stepped forward inside the glass. It had his face, but its skin was paler, its eyes sunken and endless. It pressed its hand to the other side of the glass. And slowly, the surface began to stretch toward him. Tony screamed. He grabbed the lamp from the nightstand and hurled it at the mirror. It shattered across the room, but the glass didn't break. Not even a scratch. Instead, the mirror image of himself laughed, the sound like broken teeth grinding together, and stepped through the glass. It wasn't a copy anymore. It was something else. It dragged behind it a sound like chains scraping on concrete. As it moved, the floor grew damp with black sludge. And its voice was his, but hollowed out, as if it had been echoing in a grave. "You wanted the story," it whispered. Now become it. Tony ran, slammed against the door, punched it, screamed. But the room was shifting, melting around him. The walls bled. The bulb above him burst with a sharp hiss. Behind him, the thing lunged. He never had time to turn. The mirror swallowed the noise, the movement, the struggle. And when it stilled again, the room was quiet, undisturbed, empty. Just a bed, a broken lamp, and the mirror. The next morning, Mama F entered carrying a bowl of water, her footsteps slow and deliberate. She didn't knock. She never did. She stepped over the broken lamp, walked straight to the mirror, and began to wipe it clean with a soft rag. Inside the glass, Tony was screaming, eyes bulging, fists pounding silently. His mouth opened wide, but no sound came. Just the reflection of a man who no longer had a body. She wiped carefully around his face, then leaned in close. "You should not have looked," she whispered. She locked the door behind her and returned to her chair by the front desk. The guest book sat open, ready. And outside, the clouds thickened. Somewhere far off, another traveler watched his screen, saw the rumor, and smiled. He'd heard the story of Room 13. He didn't believe in ghosts. He was wrong. Some rumors can be true, let's not always take everything as false stories.